2019 as a senior interaction designer. As part of Allegion's digital product team, he's taken their mission to turn users into fans. Welcome, Richard.
Thanks, Alex. Check, 1, 2. So I'm going to take some of Tiffany's advice of embracing the struggle and be very honest with you right now. I am quite nervous. But as Alex also mentioned, I'm also an interaction designer with a Legion. That's not all. I'm also a father of 3 and a husband. I'm the father of a son, a daughter, and a very nervous dog. Another thing that you might want to know about me is that I am a self-diagnosed introvert. I really try to avoid large crowds, and I really try to avoid speaking in front of a lot of people. So of course, it makes sense that I'm here today to talk to all of you about facilitation, the art of speaking in front of a group of people in order to inspire them to achieve their goals. But don't worry, I'm not here to talk about how to be a great facilitator, but how we, as designers, can use facilitation as a tool to help expand our influence and help our organizations grow their design maturity. And for full transparency, I will be telling my story from the perspective of an in-house design team. But my assumptions are that this could be helpful for agencies or solo startups to reframe the way they engage their clients to build stronger relationships. So you may be wondering, why do we need to level up our design maturity? And why should we expand our design influence? In 2019, Envision published a study that showed companies with a high level of design maturity were more successful across a wide variety of metrics. The study proposed a framework that assigned levels to companies with varying levels of design maturity. At the bottom, level 1 producers, and at the top, level 5 visionaries. 41% of the sample group were at the lowest level of design maturity, while only 5% were considered level 5 visionaries. Considering that and everything in between, odds are we all have the opportunity to help grow our design influence within our own organizations. In all industries across the board, there's room to grow. If we as designers want to help our organization succeed, and if we truly want to provide the most value for our customers, we need to improve our design maturity. If there's only one thing you take away from our talk today, it's this. Part of our mission as designers should be to help our organizations understand the value of design. We need to improve our design maturity. So what are some of the barriers? I know there could be a lot, but these are a few that I've encountered most in my years as a designer. Legacy systems that put an almost insurmountable constraint on what a designer can do to provide value to our customer. But in my experience, legacy thinking is an even harder barrier to overcome. Back when I used to work in healthcare and biotech, a lot of key stakeholders were subject matter experts in the healthcare industry and patient care. Innovation as a designer was nearly impossible because we'd always get pushback. We'd always hear things like, well, that's not how we do it, or this is how it's always been done. We can't change it. Believe me, I'm the expert. What's the ROI of design? This kind of question usually comes from a fundamental misunderstanding of the value of design. The business just thinks design is there to make things look pretty. They can't see how design helps their bottom line. When your organization lacks a clear and well-integrated design process, it is hard to keep everyone on the same page and speak the same language when we're talking about helping our customers. A lack of transparency. Sometimes someone along the chain of command have deemed that some things are need to know only. It's tribal knowledge. It's my silo. And design team, you don't need to know. Have you ever heard this? Well, the design team just doesn't understand our business. But what's the truth? We really want to understand, but somebody is gatekeeping the fountain of knowledge. But it can work both ways. I've seen design teams that want to hold the keys to their design magic, work behind closed doors, and not give away any of the secrets to their design superpowers. They really like to feel special. Production focus. Some organizations prioritize and incentivize delivery. Get this feature out the door, on time, and on budget. That's it. Design is often seen as a bottleneck. Your focus then is on building things fast instead of building the right thing. And we, as designers, want to build the right thing for our customers and the business. So what's the solution? It's pretty simple. Just become a level 5 company. A level 5 organization not only incorporates design processes into product development, but they also apply design to internal business strategies. So imagine a level 5 visionary organization. No more legacy thinking. No more misunderstanding the value of design. There will be a clear and well-integrated design process. No more silos, full transparency. And no more production-focused mindset. Pretty simple. Just become a level 5 visionary. But I know what you're probably thinking. How do we get from step 1 to step 2? How do we draw the rest of the darn owl? Maybe better questions to ask are, how can we be better at showing our stakeholders and executives the value of design? Then from there, how can we start incorporating design into business processes? A possible answer to this is facilitation. For a little bit of background, I'm currently working with Scott Keekbush, the design director at Allegion, to build a design-led facilitation program. Over the past couple of years, we've facilitated processes and workshops, some software related, some not. And what we've realized is that as word has gotten around about what we've been trying to do, the demand has grown to be more than we can manage. So our vision for the facilitation program is to recruit and train a bunch of facilitators well-versed in design process and design principles as it relates to facilitation. This will give us the resources to continue to evangelize the power of facilitation, and then when someone asks, we can deliver. So in a nutshell, facilitation is an approach for engaging and guiding a group or team to increase its effectiveness in its work or making decisions. And facilitation is not just for meetings or workshops. Facilitators can also help guide processes, initiatives, and even projects. But why the heck should design lead this effort? Well, first, what makes a good facilitator? According to the International Association of Facilitators, a good facilitator seeks to understand the needs, purpose, and intended outcomes. What about a good designer? A good designer seeks to understand the needs, the purpose, and intended outcomes. A good facilitator seeks to understand by asking good, clarifying, or open-ended questions. A good designer seeks to understand by asking good questions. A good facilitator adapts and iterates as they learn more. A good designer adapts and iterates as they learn more. The similarities go on, but the point is, good facilitators use some of the same guiding principles as good designers. Designers can use their superpowers to help facilitate business processes. We can show the value of design while disguised as facilitation. So why facilitation? Why should an organization even care that they have a strong facilitation capability? According to Inc.com, we waste $25 million a day on unnecessary meetings, $37 billion a year. Now imagine, when trying to convince leadership to mature design within the organization, what would be your ask? You could try convincing them that design has all the answers to all their problems. Trust us, we're designers. Or you can offer to help them save millions. And oh yeah, by the way, maybe we can get a few of those meetings off your schedule. What's the easier sell? The value of facilitation is easy for anyone to understand. Fewer meetings, less wasted resources, better decisions. I'm going to take a few minutes to talk about my own journey to becoming a facilitator. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a relatively introverted guy, and I'm also recovering from imposter syndrome. With support and acknowledgement from my peers and managers, I realized two things that really opened up possibilities for me. One, giving voice to my perspective had value. Two, the questions I asked had value. I realized that I could step outside my comfort zone and grow professionally. I started speaking up more. I submitted workshop and speaking proposals to Indie Design Week. I volunteered to facilitate, specifically the Experience Brief workshop. The Experience Brief is a tool that Scott brought to Allegion and helps cross-functional teams align on common product development goals. It contains concepts like journey maps, target audience, problem statements, and other design concepts that can be hard for product teams to manage or wrap their heads around. They needed help. After I got a couple of these workshops under my belt, I really started to understand how participants found value in the questions I asked and guidance I gave. And even more surprising, I saw more and more start to speak with a design language. Both Scott and I saw this as an opportunity to use design thinking tools to facilitate other processes and initiatives at Allegion. An example of one of the teams that I helped through facilitation was the cybersecurity team. They were starting a new initiative and were wondering how they might infuse a culture of secure design into Allegion software development. They had a vague idea of what they wanted to achieve, but couldn't put it into words. Through facilitation, I helped them to clearly define their objectives and desired outcomes. They had a vague idea of who they wanted to reach. Through facilitation, I helped them to define their target audience and understand how far off they were from their desired outcomes. I helped them determine what key results and metrics they needed to measure and monitor in order to ladder up to their primary objectives. And I helped them design a plan for achieving those key results. So does it work? Is design-led facilitation helping us to level up our design maturity? Honestly, I don't know yet. But what I do know is how my engagement with stakeholders and product partners has changed. I'm hearing more and more of my peers and leaders speaking in design language. I'm hearing people asking better, open-ended, probing questions like, how does this help the user? What problems are we trying to solve? I'm not sure yet if facilitation will help us get where we need to be, but in my gut, it sure feels like it. It feels like a step in the right direction. But as a designer, I know that that is just an assumption, and I won't know for sure until we measure it. For me, the definition of success looks like this. I get up, I go to work, and I know in my bones that every day what I have to say as a designer matters to the organization, and what I do as a designer has a positive impact on our customer. And everyone I work with, from the CEO to the product team, finds true value in my work as a designer. Imagine that. And that may sound aspirational, but that's the point of aspiration. It's a vision for a better future. All we have to do is take the first step. Imagine that. Thank you.